going on right now.
Oh shit.
No, I'm just kidding. Like, for real, you guys, this isn't.
I'm sorry.
Oh my god. We're
not funny.
It's
My
not
bad.
looking good for us. Oh my god, thank you for the 100. Somebody donated 100. Oh my, like, it's not looking so good. Like, no, this is so messed up. Like, I can't believe I'm being sued.
She's like half trolling it, right?
I need to roll a joint really quick. Like,
why are these people not more nervous? I don't know. Have they? I wonder if they've actually been served with the lawsuits yet. If they're filed publicly, well, I don't even know if those were filed publicly. Oh no, they were, right? They said. Do they have like a court and everything listed? Let me check. Hold on. Good one. District Court, Central District, California. Casey, that has a case number and everything. Yeah.
hold on, and let me.
I should be able to just look it up on Pacer, right?
You could be on the hook for
Go
$500,000.
get the weed bag.
$500,000? Are you joking? Are they serious?
I don't know how to search for cases.
What article?
I will find out.
The article? What article? There's an article?
This is a troll right now, though. She's trolling, right?
What?
Schnurfy Goob cheered 1,500 bits. Cheer 1,000, cheer 100, cheer 100, cheer 100.
Mama,
cheer
can we put on the
100,
Hereditary
cheer
soundtrack?
100. I hope this helps. I cannot believe Hassan would do this to you. We need more people talking about whose fault it really is. How you doing, Schnurfy?
Nope, they did.
Clap
This
if you
is
agree that
filed at
Hassan
least.
needs
This
to take
one,
several seats for what he did to our girl.
What does TED Entertainment even stand for? I'm assuming it's like the name of their company, but what is it?
Like, this is just wild.
Oh, Teddy Fresh, maybe?
Oh, wow.
I hate that she uses the Golden Girls music, this
BB's
motherfucker.
just subscribed. Free my girl Casey. She wasn't reacting that say she was at my house, Judge.
Right? Like, I don't recall.
Do they list a dollar amount that they're
He
seeking?
admits
And
to
I didn't see it in the
entrapping
complaints
creators
at
for
all.
money?
It just says like legal fees and
that I
copyright infringement and all that.
formulated an idea. What if I could make a long-form, irresistible piece of
A
content
non-tip 2 others are.
that I knew
Credits for the mother folded hands, folded hands.
Getting sued. We need legal advice from you, Winnie. Please, what advice can you give?
I don't have an issue with them.
Oh, honey, the deep state is
It's not
always up to
that I
something. But
wanted these-
KaceyTron, she's untouchable. How you doing? Legal advice?
Not
Tell
entrapment.
them to take several seats and call Suga 961. She's the lawyer we need, not me. I'm just here for the cocaine.
Also, damn, 80-page complaint. That's a long ass. I mean, I'm sure they're longer, but
Sugar-free memes cheered 300 bits. Cheer
Stand
100,
back and
cheer 100,
stand
cheer 100.
by.
Hi. Why are the calls on? Are we having a meeting, Casey Face? Is this a press briefing? This 40-year-old man is lifeless and hates women far. He can't participate in a genocide, so he's ruining other people's lives. Psychopath. How
it's
you
literally
doing,
the last pages of the
sugar-free me?
complaints. Page 78. What? Read me the dollar amount from here. Hold on, who's getting banned? This person and Nigel. Aerith and Nigel, tier 5 subber. Wait, I don't know why you're spamming this. I asked, is there a specific dollar amount? I've seen the claims for relief, but it's just saying that I don't see any dollar amounts listed. No. Okay. So you don't know. Okay. You're lucky. I'm feeling good right now because I should ban you, you fucking loser. This is what they are. This is what they can push for because of the filing with the Library of Congress, I believe. This allows them to cite the civil code. I don't know if the 150K here, though, I said before, I don't know if this is a cap or a minimum. General, copyright owner is entitled to recover the actual damages suffered by him or her as a result of infringement, and any profits of the infringer that are attributable to the infringement and are not taken into account in computing the actual damages. In establishing the infringer's profits, copyright owner is required to present proof only the infringer's gross revenue, and the infringer is required to prove his or her deductible expenses and the elements of profit attributable to factors other than the copyrighted work. Well, that could be one reason not to be afraid. Because unless there are secondary damages awarded, this seems like it would say the max loss here is just the money they made off the videos. But statutory damages, except as provided by Clause 2 in the subsection, the copyright owner may elect at any time before final judgment is rendered to recover instead of actual damages and profits an award of statutory damages for all infringements involved in the action with respect to any one work for which any one infringer is liable individually or for which which any two or more infringers are liable jointly and severally in a sum of not less than $750 or more than $30,000 as the court considers just. For the purpose of this subsection, all the parts of the compilation or derivative work constitute one work. In a case where the copyright owner sustains the burden of proving and the court finds that infringement was committed willfully, the court in its discretion may increase the award of statutory damages to a sum of not more than $150,000. So this means that if it was willful, then they wouldn't have to prove actual damages. Instead, they could go for the statutory damage, and the cap on that would be $150K per infringement. So I'm guessing it would be on two different things. Maybe the countdown episode and the nuke. I don't know if they register that countdown episode one, or if you need to register it to sue for this US code. In any case where the infringer sustains the burden of proving and the court finds that infringer was not aware and had no reason to believe that his or her acts constituted an infringement of copyright, the court in its discretion may reduce the award of statutory damages to a sum of not less than $200. That's going to be real hard because of, one, the statements that they made on the record, and two, the fact that we all work in content creation and we know that's the easiest burden in the world for Ethan's lawyers to prove. This is a streamer on Twitch. They are imminently aware of all copyright stuff. They have clips of her talking about it in the past, and they also, you have to be aware of these things to operate in an environment like Twitch. The court shall remit statutory damages in any case where an infringer believed and had reasonable grounds for believing that his or her use of the copyrighted work was a fair use under Section 107. Or if the infringer, the court shall remit statutory, remit means to grant, right? Remit payment is to send payment, right? Remit, or is to lay aside. Can remit mean opposite things? To transmit or send. Remit, I don't know, fuck me, okay. The court shall remit statutory damages in any case where an infringer believed and had reasonable grounds for believing that his or her use of the copyright work was a fair use under Section 107 if the infringer was 1, an employee or agent of a nonprofit educational institution, library, or archives acting within the scope of his or her employment who, or such institution, library, archives itself, which infringed by reproducing the work in copies or phonographs, or 2, a public broadcasting entity which infringes by performing a published non-dramatic... Where are my lawyers at? Does remit here mean the opposite of what... In a legal sense, is remit like the opposite of what we would think remit means? I'm guessing based on the context that this is like setting aside statutory damages because it's saying they had reasonable grounds for believing that his or her use was fair use. Damn, dude, these are going to be fair use cases. Affirmative defense is going to be. Can you win? I don't think an affirmative defense can win on summary judgment, can it? Affirmative defense summary judgment. Or find and introduce evidence which you found to be credible. Will negate criminal liability, civil liability, even if proven that event. Okay. Okay. So Federal Civil Rules Procedure Rule 56, summary judgment. Wait. Any party may make a motion for summary judgment on an affirmative defense. Okay. Some disputes as to whether certain defenses are actually affirmative defenses or just standard defenses. For example, in Florida, self-defense is an affirmative defense, but in Ohio it is not. Okay. Statutory. In the case of infringement, it shall be a rebuttal presumption that the infringement was committed willfully for purposes of determining relief if the violator or a person acting in concert with the violator knowingly provided or knowingly caused to be provided materially false contact information to a domain name registered. Okay, nothing is sufficient limits infringement for purposes of additional damages in certain cases. In any case in which the court finds that a defendant proprietor of an establishment who claims as a defense that its activities were exempt under Section 110, subsection 5, did not have reasonable grounds to believe that its use of copyright work was exempt under such a section, the plaintiff shall be entitled to, in addition to any award of damages under this section, an additional award of 2 times the amount of the license fee that the proprietor of the establishment concerned should have paid the plaintiff for such use. Okay. I don't think this applies here. But I feel like they're a little bit fucked here. I just feel like the there's a 4-factor test that people talk about a lot for if you're going to try to roll with the fair use argument. Factor 1, the purpose and the character of the use. The fair use statute itself indicates that nonprofit educational purposes are generally favored over commercial uses. In addition, the statute explicitly lists several purposes especially appropriate for fair use, such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research. These activities are also common and important at the university, but be careful, not all nonprofit educational uses are fair. A finding of fair use depends on an application of all 4 factors, not merely the purpose. However, limiting your purpose to some of these activities will be an important part of claiming fair use. Courts also favor uses that are transformative or that are not merely reproductions. Fair use is more likely to be found when the copyrighted work is transformed into something new or of new utility or meaning, such as quotations incorporated into a paper, or perhaps pieces of a work mixed into a multimedia product for your own teaching needs, or included in commentary or criticism of the original. So the purpose and character was for criticism, which is arguably a strong purpose, but I feel like the commercial use here, the fact that she's making a lot of money off of this, probably damages it, and the derivative nature of the work, meaning the lack of transformative stuff, so react more, probably hurts her case here for factor 1. So I feel like factor 1 kind of could lean in either direction, but I feel like it leans more against her than in her favor, just because the criticism and commentary seem to be very weak, and the commercial application was very high. But I mean, you could argue this either way, maybe. Factor 2, the nature of the copyrighted work. This factor centers on the work being used, and the law allows for a wider or narrower scope of fair use depending on the characteristics or attributes of the work. For example, the unpublished nature of a work, such as private correspondence or a manuscript, can weigh against a finding of fair use. The courts reason that copyright owners should have the right to determine the circumstances of first publication. Use of a work that is commercially available, specifically for the educational market, is generally disfavored and is unlikely to be considered fair use. Additionally, courts tend to give greater protection to creative works. Consequently, fair use applies more broadly to nonfiction rather than fiction. Courts are usually more protective of art, music, poetry, feature films, and other creative works than they might be of nonfiction works. So I think in this sense, I think that this probably weighs incredibly heavily against her. Obviously, these content nukes would be considered some type of like creative endeavor. It's like a whole ass thing that's being made, video that's being made. It's a creative endeavor. I think this hurts quite a bit. I think it's very hard to argue anywhere. So factor 2 is probably not good. In factor 3, the amount or substantiality of the portion used. Although the law does not set exact quantity limits, generally the more you use, the less likely you are within fair use. The amount used is usually evaluated relative to the length of the entire original and in light of the amount needed to serve a proper objective. However, sometimes the exact original is not always obvious. A book chapter might be a relatively small portion of the book, but the same content might be published elsewhere as an article or essay and be considered the entire work in that context. The amount of a work is also measured in qualitative terms. Courts have ruled that even uses of small amounts may be excessive if they take the heart of the work. For example, a short clip from a motion picture may usually be acceptable, but not if it encompasses the most extraordinary or creative elements of the film. Similarly, it might be acceptable to quote a relatively small portion of a magazine article, but not if what you are quoting is the journalistic scoop. On the other hand, in some contexts, such as critical comment or parody, copying an entire work may be acceptable, generally depending on how much is needed to achieve your purpose. Photographs and artwork often generate controversies because a user usually needs the full image or the full amount, and this may not be a fair use. On the other hand, a court has ruled that a thumbnail or low-resolution version of an image is a lesser amount. Such a version of an image may adequately serve educational or research purposes. So I think factor 3 here, I think, hurts a lot on her end because there wasn't like a cut or an edit of, criticizing certain parts. It was literally a rebroadcast of the entirety of the created work. So I think factor 3 probably hurts a lot here. In factor 4, the effect of the use on the potential market for or value of the work. Effect on the market is perhaps more complicated than the other 3 factors. Fundamentally, this factor means that if you could have realistically purchased or licensed the copyrighted work, that fact weighs against a finding of fair use. To evaluate this factor, you may need to make a simple investigation of the market to determine if the work is reasonably available for purchase or licensing. A work may be reasonably available if you are using a large portion of a book that is for sale at a typical market price. Effect is also closely linked to purpose. If your purpose is research or scholarship, market effect may be difficult to prove. If your purpose is commercial, then adverse market effect may be easier to prove. Unfortunately, this is the factor that she completely threw away by saying, watch me instead of him, right? The whole point of this was to substitute her product for his. Occasional quotations or photocopies may have no adverse market effects, but reproductions of entire software works and videos can make direct inroads on the potential markets for those works. Are all of these factors necessary, or is each a way fair use as possible? I don't think that it's a balancing test of, I don't know. I think these are just the 4 factors that are considered, and then you go from there. But it's not like if you win on one, you win on all. This is like a balancing test is always relatively subjective based on the judge and everything, or the jury, I guess. I don't know. To determine whether a use is or is not a fair use, always keep in mind that you need to apply all 4 factors. For example, do not jump to a conclusion based solely or simply on whether use is educational or commercial. You still need to evaluate, apply, and weigh in the balance the nature of the copyrighted work, the amount of substantiality of the portion used, and the potential impact of the use on the market or value of the work. This flexible approach to fair use is critical in order for the law to adapt to changing technologies and to meet innovative needs of higher education. Not all factors need to weigh either for or against fair use, but overall the factors will usually lean one direction or the other. Also, the relative importance of the factors is not always the same. Your analysis should guide you to a conclusion. If you think about it from an overview, what you really want to say is probably there are times where people should be able to reproduce some things, even if they can't acquire a license. Like say there's a historic picture of of like MLK or some president or whatever, and like you can't find the original photographer, or the original photographer doesn't want to license the picture. Like if you're in school and you're publishing this as part of like a textbook or something, like I mean, like this is probably stuff that we want to protect, right? But if you're just like, if you run a business and you make money selling things and you want to republish something and you're hurting the original author and everything else, and you could license it but you don't, and you're just like trying to make money for yourself, there's probably stuff we don't want to protect, right? Broadly speaking. And that's what these 4 factors are kind of supposed to help you determine, basically. $9.99. Destiny, my sister, you may not know me, but I'm your father's brother's cousin's former roommate's next door neighbor. I once said you have a girl's name and then you slept with my mom. Apologize. No. Go to page 16 of the complaint for an epic meme. Link it to me. I don't know which one you're even talking about. Amaranth announces she's leaving Kick and going back to Twitch.
Hey, yeah, I'm on my way after I refuel a bit. Uh-huh. Be there soon.
How long was she streaming on Kick for? $38 million? Where's the H3 clip adding context? Okay, I'll do that later. Twitter lawyers are commenting on the case. I'm not a legal expert. He just says he's not a lawyer, but okay. People really have no idea what entrapment is or what it means, but okay. This person's retarded. Here's the clip you asked for. I got it. I'll do it after stream.
No, like literally an attack on me is an attack on all humanity right now. This is ridiculous. No, I literally am every woman. No, like how much have we like... Oh.
I am curious why they're so confident, or where the confidence comes from, or their unbotheredness by it all, but I don't know.
Exactly.
I wonder if it's literally, like there's a simple analysis that I hope is not correct, but I wonder if it's literally the meme of they've just never been held accountable for anything ever, and they're used to Twitch babysitting them and babying them through everything, and so they think there's, because they've suffered no consequences for anything before, they're just not going to take this seriously.
Like, why are you doing this? Why are you guys, why, can the incels stop coming in here and killing the vibes? Like, we're greening out right now, but tell Ethan.
Yeah, they think it's going to be like a Twitch 24-hour ban. Who knows? These AI videos are so creepy.
Why does everybody think I'm AI? That's so crazy. I genuinely don't know why everybody is saying that. I'm a human being just like you guys. Wait, because like,
Okay. What is this? Somebody linked me this earlier. Somebody hiding under the bed or something?
Upstairs. No, I'm gonna see who's no one's in my room. No, somebody's in your room. No.
I don't know if I can watch this on stream.
No one's in my room. No, somebody's in your room. No one's in my room. No one there. So go upstairs in your room. No. You need to go upstairs in your room right now. I'm telling you. Otherwise, this is gonna cause a very big problem for me and you. Permanently forever. No. You need to go upstairs right now.
Is this person under the bed?
I'm respectful. That's fine. There were 2 glasses over there. That's fine. Quran Hafiz, I can be whatever. It doesn't matter. You need to go upstairs. Your purse is there? It's no one's purse. It's my purse.
Hello.
So the respect.
Wait, what is happening here? Is she...
This is my house. All right, man, get out of my room. And you're doing all this thing? You're doing adultery? I'm not doing adultery. Why she is here? I'm gonna marry her. We were gonna talk for the whole night. That's what we were gonna do. This is what you're gonna do? Yeah.
He's sneaking a girl in. Is that his dad, or... Did you see Stefan Molly meme is back on Twitter? Oh, God. Will America go to war with Iran? Destiny. Caught hiding under the bed, 3 or 4 gets busted, so he in a 40-year-old rooms at his parents' house. His dad wasn't having it. Okay. Jesus. Iranian ballistic missile hit Tel Aviv suburb.
Corner store, where people might get their basic provisions. Oh my goodness. And as you can see, still quite a
okay, bro?
Dangerous situation with debris still falling. That man was just struck actually by a falling, I hope he's okay. He was just struck by a falling signage on the side here. That's why we're wearing this helmet, this safety equipment, because we are still seeing windows falling, pieces of metal collapsing as well. The barber shop.
Wear your helmets, guys. Good thing that dude
right here
had a helmet on.
Damaged by a corner store.
He did have a helmet on, right?
Where people might get their basic provisions. Oh my goodness.
Is that a helmet or a hat? Uh-oh.
And as you can see, still quite a dangerous situation with debris.
Oh, I can't tell. That might have just been a hat. Wouldn't Slap get rid of Ethan's lawsuit? Slap is for frivolous lawsuits. I don't know how you could say this is frivolous. It seems like he's easily met the elements of... They've met the elements of copyright infringement now. Give me your music nerd analysis and some thoughts on the acoustic guitar being involved. What? Wow. Awesome. Wow, very cool. It's 8 out of 10. Actually, here. Use the restroom. 1 sec. Wow, that was beautiful, guys. And you know, my speaker's on, so I didn't even hear it.
First time on the other side.
We've only ever I'm suing somebody.
First time on the other side.
We've only ever been sued.
It's like I said, I was closing one front and opening another, and I got to tell you, for the first time in my life, it is I'm not going to say it is a nicer feeling, let's say, being on the other side.
Right.
Especially when you know your cases are like easy slam dunks. These people are going to be begging me to settle.
This is our first time suing somebody.
First time on the other side.
We've only ever been sued.
It's like I said, I was closing one front and opening another, and I got to tell you, for the first time in my life,
Right.
these people are going to be begging.
I'm suing somebody.
Why does the clip repeat? Are
Some.
we in the Matrix? Stag beetle throws girlfriend out of tree. Should Ethan be careful about being so upbeat about it? No, he's probably fine. As long as you're not saying stupid shit like, I know that I don't have a case here and I'm just doing this because I want to punish them and fuck with everything and I'm trying to just be malicious with my vexatious. You're not gonna say this. But like, no, I mean, if he feels like he has a real case and he can be happy about filing a lawsuit about it. His son has his son just not said anything malicious enough? You can't sue people for saying mean things about you. The cases against these three are 10 views, bro. I'm not watching a 10 view video.
Strength is not enough in these battles.
Does your music knowledge make you hate pop music? In my opinion, anybody who is like well studied in any form of art who uses that knowledge to hate contemporary and relax. He said, "Get the fuck out." Why? Jesus. Does that sound like the intro, the Donkey Kong water level music? A little bit, right? What if it's the same key? It might be. Okay. I don't know why I watched this fucking video. What is this?
Unprecedented military airlift is underway. On June 16th, at least 32 tanker aircraft...
Can we get some new music? This guy's got a lot of subs. Somebody go compose some new music for this guy.
...departed from American bases toward Europe, landing at key stopover bases for Middle East operations. The mission remains undisclosed, but it's not for some military exercise. A fleet of 32 tankers can support well over 200 combat aircraft operating at the same time. Meanwhile, on the other end of the globe, the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group has cancelled its scheduled port call in Vietnam and left the South China Sea. It is headed toward the Middle East to join the aircraft carriers that are already there. This kind of buildup usually signals preparations for a large-scale air campaign. If America plans to support Israel's campaign offensively, these tanker planes and aircraft carriers would be among the most critical assets. In the coming days, the United States may find cause to get directly involved, if it hasn't already. The drumbeats are distant, but they're marching this way. For days, Netanyahu has urged Trump to join the war against Iran. He may have finally given in to the pressure. Recently, he demanded Iran's unconditional surrender and claimed the US knows the supreme leader's exact location, but will not target him for now. This story was picked up by nearly 250 sources, so it made quite the headlines. Less noticed, however, is the story of who might replace the supreme leader. Days earlier, Reza Pahlavi, Iran's exiled crown prince, called on the country's security forces to cut ties with the regime and support a mass uprising. This is a major development. Iran has no coherent opposition to speak of, which is why all previous uprisings failed. But with the crown prince stepping in as a dark horse candidate, a unified opposition could emerge. This story has barely been picked up though. Only 80 sources reported on it, and most sources lean toward the right.
Wow.
So there's still much to piece together about what comes next. I use ground news to connect the dots because it allows me to check out local and regional sources. I truly believe that is the best way to understand this tricky region. I can't stress enough how important this is, which is why I asked Ground News to sponsor this video.
Thank you.
I mostly browse the blind spot page, where they share interesting stories that other news outlets often miss due to biased reporting. Go to ground.news/Caspian or download the mobile app and enter promo code Caspian. Israel's airstrikes have hit hard but not deep enough. Satellite imagery shows damage at Natanz, which is Iran's main uranium facility. Key buildings have been leveled and more than a dozen top scientists have been killed.
Damn.
This building, for instance, turns weapons-grade uranium into uranium metal, which forms the core of a nuclear weapon. Rebuilding it could take up to a year. However, the real problem remains. Iran's most protected site, the Fordo fuel enrichment plant, is buried deep inside a mountain near Qom. Encased in reinforced concrete, the facility is believed to be beyond the reach of any Israeli weapon known to exist. It was built in secret and only publicly unveiled in 2009. Since then, Fordo has been at the center of international attempts to curb Iran's nuclear program. But Iran has other ultra-secure facilities to rely on besides Fordo. Tehran has recently been building an even deeper, more fortified site known as Pickaxe Mountain Plant. It is built straight into a mountain just a few kilometers south of Natanz.
Damn!
While Fordo is believed to have 2 tunnel entrances, Pickaxe has at least 4, making it much harder to seal off by bombing. Its underground chambers are also believed to offer more floor space. Iran has barred the IAEA from inspecting the site, so most of what is known about Pickaxe comes from open source leaks and a fair amount of speculation. However, if Iran decided to assemble a nuclear weapon while under attack, this is the place they would do it. Conventional bombs simply can't reach it. Israel's best bunker busters, like the US-supplied GBU-28, can penetrate up to 6 meters of concrete.
Why can't they just keep bombing the same spot over and 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 over again? When they get there eventually?
But that is nowhere near enough for the hardened chambers of Pickaxe or even Fordo. The only weapon that stands a chance of getting through is the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator. This 13,000 kilogram bomb can smash through 61 meters of concrete. It is the most sophisticated bunker buster we know of. But only the US Air Force can deploy it, using the B-2 bomber. No other aircraft is configured to carry it, and Israel has no B-2 bombers. So, to destroy Iran's nuclear program, Natanz, Fordo...
How big are these again? I always feel these are way smaller than I think they actually are. What an awesome shaped plane. This is an old ass plane too, isn't it? When did we develop this? Not as old as I thought. 1988. Damn. Look at that guy. Damn. Wait, is this real or am I getting memed?
Hello, everybody.
Okay, it is way bigger than I always look at these and I always think they're like 2 times the size of like a Cessna or whatever, but they're way bigger than that. They look like, damn, look at that. That's some spooky, that's some UFO shit.
Similarly, the engine's performance is scrutinized, as it must flawlessly support long-range, high-altitude missions.
That's not the case for us because we're supposed to be stealthy.
Wait, is the stealth turned off right now? Or why can we see it? Okay, wait, so I'm curious, could like a B-52 not carry these, or do we just not use those anymore? Or were they just meant to deliver a whole bunch of smaller bombs? Or is this really the only plane in existence that can carry those huge bombs? Or the point of the B-2 is that it's stealthy. Too likely to be shot down. What is the B-52's cruising altitude? I'm guessing it also is probably not like radar stealthy. 50,000 feet. I don't know what it has to drop bombs from or whatever or anything. What does this thing cruise at? 50,000. Okay. Damn, there was some plane. I watched some stupid fucking video of this guy. It wasn't a stupid video. I don't know why I said that. Fuck. What was the name of this plane? God damn it, I'm not going to remember it. Some guy has a YouTube channel. Oh, is this? The U2. This is a crazy...
Traditional landing gear. We get a safety observer in the mobile.
This is a cool video if you're bored. I don't know why this YouTuber gets all this special access. I'm sure if you're cool enough to the military and all that, they let you do things. But this guy gets to go on a ride in a U2.
It behaves like a lady. She flies in full 360, meaning you can film multiple of their X4. Boils at the normal temperature of the human body.
He was Air Force pilot program.
That means that if you have actually been to orbit prior to the first shuttle mission in 1981, and that's why if you look back at the photos in our everyday lives. So what does it feel like wearing this aircraft?
He gets all this little training and then show the flight.
But 09.
Right, right, mogul free. Here we go. Whoa! That is fast.
That's freaking epic, man.
Wow. That is incredible.
We ain't done yet. So right now we're about 0.3 miles from the field in the spiral climb.
That was literally a rocket ship. Makes sense you wear the spacesuits.
Oh yeah. NorCal Pinion 09 passing 200 for 230 request higher.
Pinion 09 Oakland Center, climb maintain outer above flight level 600, report reaching.
Outer above 600, Pinion 09, woke up.
It's funny, I was gonna ask, is it normal like right after you put your suit on, you just get like an itch on your nose?
It can.
And it's like, can't do much for the next couple hours.
Damn.
Yep.
Loser.
There's 45,000, Sam. What's the highest you've ever been?
The highest I've ever been, let me tell you, back in college.
So I did hit 50,000 once in an F-15, which was incredible, but we only did it for a few seconds, so this is gonna be a lot more legit, I'd say.
Yeah, we won't have any problem shattering that one today.
Wait, is the inside of this cabin pressurized, or do they just rely on the spacesuits? It must be, I would imagine, right?
Now, crossing 50,000 feet is a bit of a milestone. This is the altitude where Earth's atmosphere ends and the stratosphere begins, and historically was once considered space, or at least what's known as the space equivalent zone.
Well, Sam, there goes 50. Your old altitude is now old.
It's all new territory from here.
And you can see she still wants to climb.
At altitudes above 50,000 feet, a person will become quickly hypoxic. Why? Simply put, there's not enough air pressure to allow your lungs to absorb the limited amount of oxygen that's in the atmosphere. So if you're going to be flying at these altitudes, you need to be wearing a full pressure suit, hence why we call it the space equivalent zone.
So if you notice here, if you kind of look slightly above the horizon, you can see a gradation of blue into a dark blue.
Yeah.
If you could look directly above you, it would go even darker. So as we continue to climb here, if you kind of maybe out the right side versus towards the sun there, you can start to make out the gentle curve.
The only curvature is because of the lens, guys. Don't be tricked.
As the numbers on the altimeter continued to climb higher and higher, and as we quickly approached the 70,000-foot milestone, the views to my left and right were something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Other than the astronauts in the International Space Station, the two of us sitting in this aircraft are the highest human beings in the world. And as my pilot Mongo reminded me, because the rear cockpit in the two-seat version of the U-2 sits a few feet higher than the pilot in the front, that meant I was actually the highest human on Earth.
Well, on Earth?
You really are on top of the world here.
Well, you more than me right now.
That's pretty wild though, right?
Yeah, that is true. And I guess I'm, what, 2 feet higher than you?
Got him.
Blue sky or... Now there's The term in aviation known as coffin corner. It refers to the region of flight where even the slightest changes in airspeed or altitude can result in, well, I think you get the point.
That's where I drive all the time. Every time it's coffin corner. I'm just kidding.
Something else you'll notice on the speed tape on the left side of the screen. The red bar at the bottom, as we climb, it'll start creeping up towards our indicated airspeed as we start climbing into coffin corner.
The higher we climb, the closer we are to both overspeed and stall up at altitude, putting us at a razor's edge flying margin at any given time.
Go too slow and you'll stall the jet. Go too fast and you'll exceed your critical Mach number.
You see how easy the roll there is?
Yeah.
She's pretty pitch sensitive up at altitude. There's not a lot of air molecules.
The air over your wings will go supersonic, you'll pitch down, the aircraft will accelerate, and the wings will fall off.
So here we go, watch your left wing.
Okay, good enough. The way you feel about this dude having so much access to shit is how I feel about this dude with his PC setups. Wait, what is this?
I'm after you. I mean, man, take a look at the inside of this thing. There is like no empty space at all. You can feel the difference too. Like if you put your hand on like an opposite side of a vent, you can like really feel the amount of air that is being pushed out now compared to before where there was like not much air pressure at all. As for the performance, well, it's interesting. So,
okay. Clip of Crip silently choking on a cookie. 10 out of 10. Wait, why? Sorry. What if we could be watching a man die right now? A year-old clip too. Oh wait, yeah. Why did you even have this up right now? My God. Okay. Anyway, that was a huge diversion. I haven't dug into this story much because some of the laws are kind of crazy, but I don't know if this is a hot take or not. Americans need to shut the fuck up about sexism in Iran. We just forced a dead woman to give birth. If the family and the partner and everything wanted this to happen and the woman wasn't like strictly opposed to it, I don't actually know if this is that bad. Does anybody, what is there? I need more details on this story. They didn't what? The family was against it? Dead woman gives birth. The baby came out 1 pound. Ooh, they got the Ozempic babies. The baby of a woman in Georgia who was declared brain dead has been on life support since February. It was delivered early Friday morning, her mother said. Born prematurely by an emergency C-section early Friday. The Atlanta station reported Monday she was about 6 months into her pregnancy. Hold on, I'm sorry. Wait. Hold on, I'm sorry. Wait, hold on, we need to do some math here. This woman was declared brain dead in February, and the baby was born 6 months premature a few days ago? So, what, this woman was like a couple weeks pregnant? Or am I misunderstanding this? Okay, never mind then. Okay, because I was trying to have in my mind, I wanted to give the contrarian take. You know, like if you had a mom and then she ends up dying because of something that happened, and you're like, should we keep the body alive to give birth to the baby? If the baby's like 6, 7, 8 months along, that's especially if you're the dad, and especially if the family supports it. But if the woman's like a month pregnant, that's wild. Jesus. He's expected to be okay. He's just fighting. We just have prayers for him. Said her daughter had intense headaches more than 4 months ago and went to Atlantis Northside Hospital where medication was released. The next morning, her boyfriend woke up to her gasping for air and fell 911. Emory University Hospital determined she had blood clots in her brain, was declared brain dead. She was 8 weeks pregnant. That's kind of wild. 2 months? That's a little crazy. Jesus. Newkirk said Smith would be taken off of life support Tuesday. Oh, after the baby was born. Jesus. It's unclear why Emory decided to deliver the baby. The AP has also tried to contact. Smith's family said Emory doctors told them they were not allowed to remove the devices keeping her breathing because state law bans abortion after cardiac activity be detected, generally around 6 weeks into pregnancy. Georgia Republican Attorney General Chris Carr later issued a statement saying the law did not require medical professionals to keep a woman declared brain dead on life support. Removing life support is not an action with the purpose to terminate a pregnancy, Carr said. Newkirk said Smith loved being a nurse at Emory. She also had a 7-year-old son. Her family... Huh. Pregnant woman in Georgia, this is in May, was declared brain dead after a medical emergency, has been kept on life support for 3 months by doctors to allow enough time for the baby to be born and comply with Georgia's strict anti-abortion law, family members say. The case of the latest consequence of the abortion, Adriana Smith, a 30-year-old mother and nurse, was declared brain dead, meaning she's legally dead in February. Newkirk said her daughter had intense headaches more than 3 months, went to the hospital, received medication, was released, and then died of blood clots in the brain. She's now 21 weeks pregnant. Smith's family says Emory doctors